The Unit 4 packet, Dividing Fractions, and we're going to be on page 7. Page 7. So I'll give you a moment to get to page 7. All right. So today, what we're going to be doing is dividing whole numbers by fractions. And we're also going to, it's what we're doing today is called an inquiry lab. We're not necessarily using the method we're going to use for the rest of the unit. We're going to learn a different method today that will involve modeling, that will involve bar diagrams. And these models are going to help us understand what it means to divide by fractions. And they're going to help us understand when we get to a more efficient method, a quicker way of doing this, what the quicker method actually means. So the first question is this on page 7. It says, Juan is building a set for the school musical. He has a 3-foot board that he needs to equally divide into half-foot pieces. How many pieces will he have after he cuts the board? So we're trying to figure out here, he has a 3-foot board. We're trying to figure out how many groups of 1/2 will fit into 3. So there's a 3-foot board, he's going to cut it in half-foot pieces. We want to know how many times will that half-foot fit into 3. And so we're going to use a model here to help us show that. Well, right now, this is the board here, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show the 3 feet. So I'm going to show 3 feet by making 2 lines that go above and below the bar here. Above and below the bar. That shows my 3 holes. I have 3 whole feet. 1, 2, 3. And then each board, each foot, I should say, we're going to cut in half. We're going to cut into a half-foot piece. So this foot here, I'm going to cut it in half. This foot here, I'm going to cut it in half. Same thing for this foot here. And now what I'm thinking is, well, how many half-foot pieces do we have? Well, we have 1 here. We have 2 here. 3. And I want you to circle these as well. I want you to do exactly what I'm doing. 4, 5, 6. So that means that 3 divided by 1/2 equals 6. 1/2 fits into 3. 1/2 fits into 3 6 times. All right, so we're going to use this same idea here to try out a couple more problems. So if we look at 3 divided by 1/3, okay? The first thing we're going to do is think about the whole number 3. We're going to make 3 holes. Now, they kind of started it here, but when we make our whole number, we're going to make sure the line goes above and below the bar. Just because when we start dividing the holes into fractions, it'll be easier to see like where are the holes and where are the parts. So this is 1 hole, 2 holes, 3 holes. And what we're going to do is divide each hole into thirds. So the thirds are the fraction we're looking for. So here's 1 hole. I'm going to divide it into thirds using 2 lines, or 2 line segments. 1, 2. So you can see here I've made 1, 2, 3. I've made thirds. 1/3, 2/3, 3/3 make a hole. Same thing for this next hole, or this next, I guess it would be a hole. 1, 2. I've made thirds. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I've cut each hole into thirds. And now I'm thinking, how many thirds are there? Well, I'm going to circle my thirds. There's 1, 2. Be careful with your circles because you don't want to circle more than 1 at a time because we are only dealing with 1/3 at this point. 8, 9. So that means 3 divided by 1/3 would be 9. All right, let's try another one here. 2 divided by 1/4. So we're focused on the whole number. So we're going to cut this piece into 2 holes. So I just need one line for that, above and below. So I've made 2. 1, 2. Then we're going to cut each hole into fourths. So each one of these holes we're going to cut into fourths because we need to find out how many fourths could fit into the number 2. So I'm going to need 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. Same thing here. 1, 2, 3. Wish those were more even, but they're still pretty close. All right. So we're trying to see how many fourths will fit into 2. Well, there's 1/4. 2. Again, I'm only circling 1/4. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2 divided by 1/4 is 8. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Hopefully you're seeing a connection between the numbers we're dividing and what you're getting as your quotient or your answer. Or you can try this one on your own, or you can do it with me. 2 divided by 1/5. The first thing we're going to do, make 2 holes. 1, 2. Then we're going to divide each hole into fifths. We're going to use 4 lines to do that. 4 little line segments. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, good. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're going to circle fifths. How many fifths are there in 2? Well, in the number 1, there are 5 fifths. So I'm thinking in the number 2, there are 10, because you would double that. Each hole has 5 fifths in it. So 2 divided by 1/5, 1/5 fits into 2 10 times. Now again, I hope you're seeing a connection between like the whole number, the fraction, and what we get as our answer. There's a connection there that we're going to talk about tomorrow. Okay, this next one, I want you to pause it, try this one on your own, and then play the video, and we'll see if you get the right answer. Go for it. All right, so for this one, I'm going to divide it into 4 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 holes. Each hole, we're going to divide in half. Half, 1 half, 1 half. Then we're going to circle each half to see how many halves. Now, in 1, there are 2 halves. In 2, there are 4 halves. In 3, there are 6 halves. And in 4, there are 8 halves. 4 divided by 1 half would be 8. And it's kind of curious that 2 divided by 1/4 is also 8. So if you look at these two, there's kind of a similarity between them. They're 2 different numbers, but you get 8 for both of them. Interesting. Interesting. All right. So that's page 7. Let's try page 8. So if you look at the top of page 8, this problem is slightly different than the ones we've been doing because this is not 4 divided by 1/3. This is 4 divided by 2/3. But we're going to set it up the same way. We are trying to find how many groups of 2/3 will fit into 4. Now, I'm thinking the answer is going to be greater than 4 because 2/3 is less than 1. Some might say it's smaller. I'm putting that in quotes. Smaller than 1 has less value. So that means 2/3 can fit into 4 more times than 1 can because 2/3 is less than 4. So let's see if that's true. Should be an answer greater than 4. So to start this off, I'm going to cut this piece into 4 holes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Got 4 holes. And then I'm going to take each hole and cut it into thirds. Okay, I hope I would do this step with me because this is where it gets a little tricky. So I'm going to make thirds. For each hole, I'm going to make thirds. Each hole is going to have 3 thirds. Now, the difference is this. instead of circling groups of 1/3, we're going to be circling groups of 2/3. You got to be really careful with this, that you're circling neatly, because if you circle more than 2 at a time, then your answer is going to be off. So here's 1/3, 2/3. I'm going to circle that group of 2/3. 1/3, 2/3. Here we go. Circling groups of 2/3. 1, 2. So far 3. So I'm thinking there's going to be 6 if that's halfway through and we only got 3. 4, 5, 6. 6 groups of 2/3. So 4 divided by 2/3 of 6 makes sense. The answer is greater than 4 because 2/3 can fit into 4 more times than 1 can. So we're going to try a similar problem here, slightly different. 6 divided by 2/3. So the first thing we're going to do is make 6. We're going to use 5 lines. Put 1 down the middle, 2 on either side. This one's going to be kind of smushed. And then we're going to, within each hole, we're going to make thirds. And then we're going to circle groups of 2. Making thirds. All right. So in the number 6, there are 18 thirds. So we're going to circle groups of 2. There are 18 thirds. We're going to circle groups of 2. I think there's going to be 9, but we'll see. 1, 2. There's a group right there. 1, 2. Make sure you're, I know it's kind of like hard to see some of these, but you want to make sure you're only circling 2 at a time. Where people start to see problems is if they accidentally circle only 1, or if they accidentally circle more than 2. So you want to make sure to get exactly 2. Be neat with your circles. Gotta be neat with your circles. All right, circling groups of 2/3. Let's see how many we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There were 18 thirds. We circled groups of 2, and we got 9 as our answer. Interesting. All right, you can try this one on your own if you want to pause it and try it. We'll see what happens. All right, so 3 divided by 3/4. We're going to make 3 holes with our lines above and below. Each hole we're going to divide into fourths using 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. So again, we're circling groups of 3. We're circling groups of 3. 1, 2, 3. Circling. 1, 2, 3. Circling. Oh, 1, 2, 3. We're circling. And then 1, 2, 3. We're giving a big circle. All right, 3 divided by 3/4. When you would be 4, but when you cut 3 holes into fourths, you get 12 fourths. There were 12 of them. And we circle groups of 3. So 12 divided by 3 is why we got 4. All right. This one here, it says, write a story problem that involves 4 divided by 4/5. Solve the problem using a bar model. All right. Let's try this. Let's try this one. So let's say Mary has 4 cookies. Good for her. Mary has 4 cookies. Might be a good idea to write this down. So she's starting with 4 cookies. That's the 4. I'm going to draw. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and draw it. I'm going to go ahead and draw these 4 cookies here. They're rectangular cookies, but they look pretty good. 1, 2, 3. She got 4 cookies. She will give each friend 4/5 of a cookie. So not the whole thing. She's only going to give him 4/5, not the whole thing. Almost the whole thing. how many people can she share with? That's really the question. How many people can she share with? So I'm thinking again, this answer, she's going to be able to share with more than 4 people because she has 4 cookies and not everyone's getting a full cookie. Everyone's getting a part of a cookie. So I'm thinking the answer is going to be more than 4. Well, let's see. So here's each cookie. We're going to divide each cookie into fifths using 4 lines. Got to be really careful with this. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces. Each person's getting 4 fifths. Now, I would appreciate a friend like Mary here because she's very precise with her cookie sharing. She takes it very seriously. She wants to make sure that everyone gets the same amount. All right. So we have 20 fifths here, 5 in each hole, 5, 10, 15, 20. We're going to share, each person is going to get 4 of them. There's 20 of them, so I'm thinking it's going to be 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's one friend. That's one friend there. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's another friend. Each person's getting 4 fifths. 1, 2, 3, 4. We got 3 so far. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's friend 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Friend 5. Should have made this a question. Right here with a question mark. So the answer is 5 friends. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each person getting 4 fifths. Like some of the friends, like friend 2, 3, and 4, they're getting pieces from different cookies. So if you look at like friend 1 and friend 5, they're getting like not the whole cookie, but at least they're getting only part of one cookie. Whereas friends 2, 3, and 4, they have to they're getting pieces from different cookies. But you know what? In the end, they're all getting the same amount. So good for Mary for thinking that through. All right. Here's our last page. These ones are a little trickier. By a little, I mean a lot. So make sure to stay with me here. So 2 divided by 3/4. We're going to find how many groups of 3/4 fit into 2. Now, at this point, you're thinking like, it's the same thing as before. Not a big deal. No big deal. But let's see what happens. First thing we're going to do is we're going to make 2 holes. There it is. And we're going to divide each hole into fourths using 3 lines. 1, 2, 3. Whoop. 1, 2. Now this is where this one gets a little strange. So we're going to be circling groups of 3. We want to find groups of 3. 1, 2, 3. There's 1. So far, so good. 1, 2, 3. There's 2. Uh-oh. We have 2 left over. So there's 2 left over here. I'm going to make a little bracket, actually. Sometimes brackets are tough to make, but make a little bracket here. There's 2 here. Now, the answer is going to be 2, but then a lot of people are tempted to say, oh, this is 2/4, but it's not. Because we're not circling groups of 4. To make a group, you need 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So there's 2 left over out of 3 that you need. So this fraction is 2/3. The part that's left over is 2/3, or 2 out of 3. So I'm going to write that, 2 out of 3. So we have 1, 2, and 2/3 left over. So the answer is actually 2 and 2/3. So when there's a remainder, you're thinking not like what are the fraction pieces? No, you're thinking, well, what are the group size? What's the group size? And here the group size was 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. We had 2 left over out of 3. If we had one more fourth, we'd be able to make another group of 3, but we didn't, so we had some left over. So this is when it gets a little weird. A little weird here. Okay, with that remainder. Well, we're going to try a couple of these together here. So number 6, it says 4 divided by 3/4. Similar to the last one. We're going to divide, I'm just going to turn the light back on. We're going to divide this into 4 wholes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we're going to divide each whole into fourths. Okay. All right, so we're going to be circling groups of 3. Circling groups of 3. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. Whoop, whoop. All right. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. There's 1. 1, 2, 3. There's another. So we're circling groups of 3. That's going to be important to keep in mind. Circling groups of 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, okie dokie. We have 1 left over. Now we have 1 left over out of, we need groups of 1, 2, 3. Out of 3. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 groups. And we have 1 out of 3 left over. So the answer would be 5 1/3. Again, we're focused on how many make a group. 3 make a group. We had 1 left over. So the fraction left over would be 1/3. All right, just a couple more, and then we'll be all set for today. So 5 divided by 2/3. Same thing. We're going to divide it up. 1. We need 4 lines to make 5 wholes. That was actually pretty good. Not perfect, but it was okay. And then we're going to divide each whole into thirds. We need thirds. And then we're going to circle groups of 2/3. Let's see here. Perfect. All right, circle groups of 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Circling groups. 1, 2. Groups of 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Uh-oh. I feel like there's going to be a remainder here. You just got to make sure you're circling these groups neatly, because sometimes when they get smaller, it's a little bit harder to circle. All right. So how many make a group? Well, 2 make a group. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. We only have 1 left over. So this little piece here is 1 left over. Whoa. Out of 2 to make a group. We need 2 to make a group. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is our whole number. That's how many whole groups we have. And then we have 1/2 of a group left over. So 5 divided by 2/3 is 7 1/2. Now that makes sense. The answer is greater than 5 because 2/3 is less than 1. So the answer would have to be greater than 5. All right. This last one, the grand finale. You can try this one on your own if you want, or you can do it with me. But here we go. We have 2. There it is. And we're going to divide each whole into fifths, and we're going to circle groups of 4. So let's do fifths. That's going to be 4 lines. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, we're circling groups of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Booyah. 1, 2, 3, 4. Also booyah. All right. Got 2 left over. We have 2 left over. How many do we need to make a group? Well, 1, 2, 3, 4. But here's the thing. 2/4, if you simplify it, is the same thing as 1/2. So the answer to this one is 2 is our whole number and 1/2. All right, so next time in class, I'm going to show you, and we're going to work with a method that will help us get the answer without necessarily making the model. But I think these models today will help us understand why that method works. All right, gang, have a great day. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll see you soon.